spirit of reconciliation, I acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island peoples today. Welcome to Totally Lit, the podcast celebrating reading, writing and creating literature. I'm your host, Ky Garvey. Thank you for listening. This episode, I have the amazing Karen Tyrrell as my guest. She is a wonderful supporter of the Kidlit community here in Brisbane. Karen is an award-winning child empowerment author, children's rights ambassador, teacher and keynote speaker, creating books and workshops to empower kids to live strong. I hope you enjoy our chat. Karen Tyrrell, welcome to Totally Lit. Thank you so much for joining me.
It's wonderful to be here. Very exciting to have an interview by you.
You've got some super exciting news since I last saw you. Do you want to share some of the wonderful things that are happening in your world at the moment?
Okay, well, I'll share them in order. On the 18th of October, I launched my book, Logan, Then and Now, written by myself and illustrated by Megan Forward. And the exciting news is it's part of a literacy project from the Beanley Quota Club, and they're giving 1,000 copies of this book to students. That's
Oh, wonderful.
And it's all free.
And is that going to be in the Logan area? So will the book
Yes, it's all in the Logan and Beanley schools, and it's directed to Year 2 because Year 2 study then and now as part of their HASS curriculum, which is history, arts and social science. So it's Year 2 students in 12 schools will be getting free copies.
Excellent. So did you research all the history to go into that book yourself?
For about a year before I wrote it. No, probably 9 months. 9 months. I went to all the locations. I found out all the information, took photographs. My husband, Steve, was a big part of it. And also we went to all the libraries to get historical photos. Because how it works, I'll just show you a page. One page is the then, which has all the history and historical photos, which I got from the State Library. And the right page is what you can do at that place now, with what children can do. So it's children activities at that place. And we have a strong Indigenous features in the book at the beginning and the end. So we're very proud of that. And this is book 2 in a series. Book 1 was called Follow the Sugar Trail. Mm-hmm. That one was my first commissioned book, and that was commissioned by 3 clubs, Rotary, Quota and Seroptimus. This one was Quota only, which is an all-women's group.
That's amazing. And when you planned those books, did you look at the school curriculum in your local area and write those to match the curriculum, or has it been a coincidence?
Well, I did heavily do research on the Australian curriculum. I got all the links to HASS, and I made sure that I covered all those areas. Plus, the places were negotiated between me and Quota. So to be places that were quite well known to children and to adults and that are frequented already. So it would be places that when the children read it, say, oh, I know, I've been to that park. I've crossed that bridge. I've been to that arts centre. So it would be, a bit familiar to them, and they want to read more to find out the history.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That sounds like there's been quite a bit of work popped into that.
Yes, and with my husband, Steve, and with the Quota people, and with my lovely illustrator. She illustrated everything, all the pages. I gave her the text, I gave her the photos, I gave her the historical photos, all the research I did, and she compiled them into a book with her own illustrations. So, it's all good.
Wonderful. And that's not the only fantastic thing that's happening at the moment.
No. I just happen to have the book in question. It's called Let's Play. It's I don't know, because they all come in different sequences. So you could call it book 2 because, it started last year in 2023, and it's published by Play Matters. And they commissioned me to write this book, and it was different to my books with Quota and with Rotary, because that was a lot of that was negotiated. Now, Play Matters had a very particular brief for me to follow, and links and things I had to read, and I had to I had to tick all the boxes for the book. And this was run like a competition almost. A small select people, and I don't know who the other people were asked to write the book. And the one that they liked the most won, like a competition, and that person got paid for it as well.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so that's how that book was. And I've got some good news on this book too, because it won an award. It was winner of the Speech Pathology Book of the Year. For our children, for birth to 3 years old. So we won that on Thursday. And I've got my medals on there. I've got a gold medal, which is my recent one. And I also got my shortlisted medal, which I won a couple of months ago. It was shortlisted. So, yeah. And I've also got an award, but I think I've just packed it away because I've got an event tomorrow. So I think I've just packed it away ready for my event tomorrow.
Are you taking it with you?
Yes, and I'm taking it to Right Links tomorrow as well. So you might see it there. Yeah. So, yes, the big news with this book, the sequel is coming out on the 20th of November. Oh, wow. I'm not allowed to say the title yet, but it's derivative of this book or the next step of this book, and all will be revealed on the 20th. And it celebrated on the United Nations Children's Day. So that's the day that it will be.
That in my calendar and look out for it.
Yeah. It will be launched by Play Matters Australia. And you can see Play Matters there too. Oh, I've got actually a surprise. I suppose it's a surprise because my books are on discount at Play Matters Australia at the moment. And I can give you the discount code. So if you go to the Play Matters website, the discount code is Karen, capital letters, Karen 20. And you put that in the discount code and you get a great big discount, and it's already been discounted. So you get a discount on a discount, and that discount lasts till the end of November.
Amazing. I'll include that in the show notes so people can find the website and purchase a copy.
Thank you. So, yeah, so that's the 2 Logan books, and that's the 2 Play Matters books. And now I've got some other news that you don't know about. I've been told I have to read it word for word, or I'm not allowed to read it at all. So I'm going to read it word for word.
You're hearing it here first, folks.
Yeah, you're hearing it first. And please do not tell anybody until your podcast comes out.
It's on embargo.
Just between you and me. Got an embargo. And this is it. And I'm going to read it because I want to get it right. Jenny Stubbs, on behalf of the Rosewood History Group, which is part of the Rosary and District Support Centre, won a grant through the Community Bank Rosewood and District Branch of Bendigo Bank for me to write an historical picture book for them for a very special celebrations, which I will talk about more later.
Oh, it's very exciting.
Yes.
2024 is your year, Karen.
This will be the 5th commissioned book. Yeah, so lots of big things are happening at the moment. It's very busy at my house because I've got to really think before I've got to really organise my day.
Oh, I can imagine. And I love, because I follow you on social media, that you and your husband, Steve, support each other so much. When one is doing one wonderful thing, you're cheering the other on. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
Everybody
I've got a pretty fantastic husband and family, and we're all supportive of each other, and it's wonderful.
So did you want to share a little bit about how you started with these commissioned books? Because it might be something that our listeners aren't familiar with in terms of it being an option for writing.
Okay. Now, it's a little bit involved, but it's something doable if you're willing to have a go. Okay. So, and this is how I think it happened. The very first book was Follow the Sugar Trail, the Rotary book, right? And how they chose me to write it is they asked around who would be good at writing a commissioned book and who is good at project managing or managing an illustrator, an editor, a formatter, the printer. And I have done this I've indie published 17 books. So I've done that many times before.
You're an expert now.
Yeah, well, I suppose I am. Well, they consider. I never thought of writing for commission books. They came to me. One was a bookshop. The bookshop contacted Rotary and said, "I know this author, that can project manage, and she distributes books and things like that. And I think she could write your book. So, and the other person, I never found out who the other person was, but I know one was the bookshop because the bookshop told me. Said, I just recommended you. I said, oh, it was very nice of you. So that's how it started. And then once they contacted me, then we started off with having meetings. And at first it was a pretty general idea of what they wanted, and I gave my ideas. So it was very collaborative. We worked together. We talked about it, what the book could look like, what the themes could be, who the characters could be. Because I have two characters in my two Logan books, a boy and a girl, and also an animal, which is a sugar glider.
Mm-hmm.
So the sugar glider talks about the history, is always on the history pages, and the children are always on the now pages, right, what they are doing as an activity, because there can't be just facts. Because children don't want to read facts. They want to read something that's engaging, that's got something to do with them. So, yeah. So that's how it started, and we negotiated it through. I've actually, over the years, because I project managed before, I've created contracts with people just to make sure it's clear what they are doing, what am I doing, who's paying what. And I've signed other people have made contracts for me, and I've made contracts for them. So I know a little bit about what's the expectation. It's mainly about the timeline and who gets paid when. And it's all about usually because it's like a business deal in a lot of ways. So it's usually once you've done all the negotiating, you work out what you're going to write. It's usually when you start writing, you get 50%. And then when you finish writing, you get the other 50%. But that also goes for the illustrator, the editor, and you're responsible for collecting quotes for people. So you collect the quotes and you represent that to the main commissioner body, and they pick, we'll have that one, and then it's all worked out. So that's one way to do it, but there's more. I said, I explained how Play Manners was different, because that was like, I didn't need to be a project manager because they are a publisher in their own right. They project managed me.
So you just had to do the creative part.
Yeah, they picked their illustrator. They picked me. They picked all their editors. My role with Play Manners was the author. And also I have the role of promotions and marketing for them, and giving them advice on distributing, things like that, because I've had experience with library suppliers, book suppliers, things like that.
You can share your wealth of experience with them.
I didn't realise I knew all these things because I'd just been doing them automatically for a while. And then when someone asks you, could you do that? Oh, yeah, I suppose I could do that, couldn't I? So it was a bit of a surprise, but, And the book with Jenny will go probably a similar process that it's gone with my quota and Beanley Group, just negotiating what I'm going to write and
will that be focused on kids, or will it be focused on?
It's definitely all children. What they have in common, they're all for children. They're all picture books.
Yep.
And if you do some research on commission books, in most cases they are picture books, because a community group wants to get the book out to the community via text and through pictures and perhaps old photos or something else. But it's usually children's picture books.
Do you have any involvement with applying for grants or sourcing funding, or have you just been part of the creative process?
Rotary and Quota, excellent at fundraising. They did that all on their own. They are born to do that. I'm sure they could raise $1,000 in a week if they wanted to. They're very good at, like creating events, doing raffles, all sorts of things. Yeah, and I leave that to them. Yep. So, and they're responsible. You know that if a huge club like that, they have the money behind them, they will pay you. Right. So you don't have to worry about, not being paid by a large community service group like that.
Would you encourage other writers that might like to connect with their local community groups to try suggesting writing a picture book for their local community?
Yeah, of course. But I think it would be valuable to get that experience as a project manager, maybe set up their own publishing imprint. Mm-hmm. You need a publishing imprint. You need an ABN. You need to have some experience, you can show them that this is the book that I made.
Mhm.
This is the grant that, like, I have had grants before. I have actually won 7/8 grants, because one grant is in the making, I suppose, because that hasn't quite been announced yet. But the grants I have won have gone into my own indie published books.
Right.
And I've got, and I started that. But the early grants were just grants to get courses, to attend courses, writing courses.
It can be expensive to educate yourself. In
Yes, it is. Yeah. And I always think twice, I just think carefully about how many books can I sell and look at the market. And just, I usually these days, I just think if you can win a grant, it's usually a good sign that your book is marketable.
Right.
And then you could go ahead and you've already got the money behind you. So, and you've got people behind you, because the people that supported the grant, they gave you a letter of support, want you to succeed as well. So I think a grant's a great way to go about it and to get experience, because if you indie publish your book, then you are going to be a project manager and you're going to organise all those people to get your book out.
So there's a lot involved, it sounds like. I'm not sure if I could do it all by myself.
Look, you just need to do lots of research, ask questions. A lot of things are online.
Yeah.
You ask how to win a grant or how to project manage, how to this. There's so much information out there. It's so easy to connect with it and access that information. Yeah. But commissioned books can sometimes just come out of the blue. They came out of the blue for me. Yeah. And also, I think another important thing, because some Play Matters, they didn't want me to project manage. They didn't want me to print their book or anything like that. They were doing that all themselves. But I belong to I do a lot of networking in the children's community, through schools, through, I'm a Queensland Rights ambassador. I'm a ex-school teacher. I do a lot of community work in just around, and I get invited to be a keynote speaker. So I think the more you get yourself out there, the more that people know, especially in the kids space, that you are creating books in the kids space, you are speaking maybe at a conference on some element of that children's education or looking after children in the community. I mean, Ky, you've got all that background with all your special needs background, and I'm sure a lot of thousands of people would know you because of that. Yeah.
And one thing that I've noticed with your commission books is you're out in the community. Once those books are published, you're also doing your pantomime shows and your story times, and it looks so much fun. So for me, I'm like, I would love to write a commission book that would then lead me to being able to connect with the little readers, because that's really the best part of writing, is the fun with the kids. You seem to really put your all into it. I admire you a great deal.
What I would tell you, buy some puppets that are related to your story, and tell your story with a puppet in your hand. You're going to have all the kids' eyes on your hand, and your other hand's going to be writing a story, or get a friend or a partner to sort of co-work together, co-present a storytelling session. One with puppets are always going to win.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually doing an event tomorrow with puppets. Steve's got the puppets. I've got the story and the book. And, we have fun together. We make the kids laugh. You've got to have funny, silly puppets. Or puppets that do funny, silly things. Because then the kids are going to be watching. And if you're having fun, then everybody else in the audience are going to be having fun as well.
Oh, that sounds great. I need some tips for presentations with kids. So I'm not a natural performer.
It just takes practice, just to get in front of that mirror, or even not in the mirror, but just practice, because you have to physically make those actions and practice them, and practice being silly and exaggerate. I am more relaxed with children than I am with probably peers. I always get a little bit nervy with peers and with people my own writers and things like that. I get a little bit nervy sometimes, but I'm never nervy with kids. I just love, because it has helped to be, all of my years of being a school teacher, but it's something that can be learnt by practice.
Amazing.
Watch some of those puppets on YouTube and get your puppet and start imitating it. I learn a lot of things. Anything I can't do, I just go and look on YouTube.
Okay. Before we finish, I'd just love to hear if you have a tip that you'd like to pass on to emerging picture book authors.
Okay. Is it about commission books or just general?
About commission books.
Okay. All right. I've got some notes here. I might just read them out, if that's all right.
Sure.
This is a summary. I'll probably mention some of these before. So how can authors write commission books, you ask? Set up a publishing imprint, indie publish books to the highest standard, project manage illustrators, editors, cover designers, formatters, distribute books through bookshops. It takes a while to get a rapport with bookshops, but it does happen. And they're usually the same people who are in the bookshops now probably were there 10 years ago when I first started. So not many new bookshops really. And also find out about library suppliers and how you can connect with them and distributors. A network, join many community organisations, anything to do with children and your expertise in the children's space as a writer, as a teacher, as anything to do with social or community organisations. Remember, word gets around and you could be contacted to write a commission book because when Play Matters, I've never heard of Play Matters. Play Matters came to me and said, would you like to write a book? And they gave me a brief, really brief. And then they said, are you interested? And I said, yeah. And so then they sent me the whole lot. And I thought, whoa, I think I want to do this. This sounds great.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge around commissioned books. And I was really so pleased to see your Speech Pathology Award this week. I was like, yes, perfect timing because we're going to chat this week. Well, thank you so much, Karen.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Totally Lit is an independent podcast. You can help support us to continue to chat with wonderful Australian creatives by leaving a review on iTunes or sharing our socials with your friends. You can also make a contribution at www.buymeacoffee.com/totallylit. This will also help with equipment and podcasting platform fees. I love to interact with our listeners, so feel free to say hello either by email or social media. My email is totallylitpodcast@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, or X, and now on Blue Sky as well. I've also recently created a group on Facebook called Totally Lit Writing Community. It's a space to continue the conversation and share your writing successes, events, launches, and latest projects. Jump into this group and say hello. Thank you for listening to Totally Lit, and don't forget to go out into the world to read, write, create, ignite.